to another Fight of the Night review. This is for the Fight of the Night that took place last night at the Rogers Arena in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, UFC 289, and it was the opening of the prelims, the opening of the main card. It was between, let me just move my camera down a bit, Marc-Andre Barriault and Eric Anders, and as always I'm going to try and break it down round by round, but if you've seen these videos you would know that I don't fully do that. I'm going to give it a go anyway, so let's go. As always, we begin with round 1, and it is a fairly quick start to the fight, I would say. They both tried a couple of shots, but Mark is the first one to land anything major as he lands a right body kick and then a right hand that knocks Anders down. And he sort of swarms on him, doesn't stay on him while they're down, and from then on for the next couple of minutes it's very much a clinch war, but it's a goddamn good one. They're both sort of trading clinches back and forth, and Eric is continuously looking for the takedown, Mark keeps defending. But they're both landing a lot of shots inside the clinch. They're both landing some really good knees. Eric is landing some really good left hands in the clinch. Mark is also obviously landing some good hands of his own. Very exciting back and forth stuff. There are a few breaks in the clinch, with Mark usually able to break himself out with some really good strikes, but Eric is putting the pressure on Mark, managing to stay on him pretty consistently. And he starts landing some good stuff, but he's still thrown off by some really good counter shots from Mark. He's hit really bad with some, well, not super bad, but he's hit pretty noticeably with some combos from Mark. And even though Mark is backing up on the pressure and Eric is trying to throw stuff, he's not connecting as much as he should. Mark is landing a lot more. There is almost a takedown from Eric at the end of the round, because he goes for like 4 in round 1. And he doesn't get it. Mark again just defends really well and turns it back into a clinch game. And it was a very close back and forth fight. Close back and forth round. Both men landed some really good shit inside the clinch. They both landed, again, a lot of knees. Really good body work from Eric especially, but lots of really good head work, I guess you could say, from Mark. And round 1, very, very close, honestly. Giving it to Mark, though, I do think he did enough to win the round, and I thought Eric, while he was putting the pressure on Mark, he wasn't able to put his stuff together as well as Mark did, and it did sort of work to Eric's detriment. He was landing his best, he was landing as well as he could, but he wasn't able to put it together quite like Mark could. We then get to round 2, and at first it mostly appears sort of the same. Eric is pressuring Mark, pushing him back against the cage, going for some good takedown attempts, not really getting a lot of it, but when they do break from that, there's some really good striking exchanges between the two. It does appear that Mark is again getting the better of them. Eric is working the body over more, though. He's laying some really good combos to the body, and lands a really good right-left combo on Mark at some point as well when Mark throws a left of his own. And again, he's pressuring Mark, but he's not. He's landing a little bit better, but Mark is still outpointing him, I guess you could say. And then there comes a moment, and this is not the only time it happens in round 2. It happens 2 times, so I'll just get out of the way. Accidental groin strikes from Mark to Eric. There's 2 of them. So the first one, I think they're both a result of like a close clinch, like knee attempt. I think the first one was like a knee to the body from Mark that sort of failed, and his leg went too forward, and his toe punted Eric right in the jewels. And later on, very much near the end of the round, it did happen again. This time he actually landed the knee up top because it was a closer clinch, but he still accidentally punted Eric in the goods. In the goods? I was going to say gonads and then goodies, and then came out as goods. The goods! Gooch. He didn't hit him in the gooch, he hit him in the balls and penis. That's where he hit him. Although, besides that, even though the round felt very sluggish as a result, round 2 was very fun, and again, very back and forth between the two, mostly a stand-up war. Eric actually got a takedown at some point, and was able to smother Mark for like 10-20 seconds, maybe 25 at the maximum, but Mark was able to get over it quite well, much to the delight of his native Canadian crowd, even though he's from Montreal, which is French Canada, and we're in Vancouver for this, which is regular Canada. But you know what, I will give round 2, close as it was, and giving it to Eric. I do think he did enough to win it. I think the takedown really helped him a lot. And I was impressed by Jeremy Vallel's refereeing in this fight, but especially in this round. He made a very smart decision to not deduct a point from like 2 accidental groin strikes, because he knew that they were accidents. He was debating it in his head. He was talking with Jason Herzog, who I think was a judge for this fight, or at least he was like cage side to help him. And he was like, no, I wouldn't take a point from them either. And Jason Herzog is also a great referee. So yeah, Jaren did a really good job of not taking that. And I definitely think I think it was the right choice. We then get to the 3rd and final round. It's almost entirely Mark's round. He's putting the pressure on Eric quite early. He's landing some really good strikes. Eric is not pressuring Mark as much as he was in round 2. And yeah, Mark is just outlanding him. He's putting his strikes together a bit better. He's landing a lot more accurately. He's throwing way more to the body, which is not something he got many chances to do in round two. And when he did accidentally hit Eric in the balls. So, you know, well, it was only once, but still, okay. Well, hit him with the balls twice, but it went one. The first one was to the body. You know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, no, Mark very much clearly wins round three for me. He was just like outpointing and outstriking Eric a lot, backing up with the combos. He like around 30 seconds left of the final round. I know I haven't gone much over it. I do apologize for that. Around the 30 seconds left mark, though, or maybe about a minute left, he lands a hell of a combo, and he starts pouring it on Eric. He's putting the pressure on him. He's again landing that right body kick and right hand combo. That's treated him quite well in round one and in round three as well. And yeah, even though Eric does weather that storm, and even though his nose is pretty busted up, he does start landing some good combos of his own towards the end of round three. But the majority of round three before that was Mark landing on Eric, putting the pressure on him, following up on him, avoiding any clinches. I don't think Eric even went for a takedown. I think he it accumulated to a total of 10 attempts from him, and he only got one, and that was in round two. I don't think he went for it at all in round three. I could be wrong, but yeah, no, Mark definitely clearly wins round three for me. His striking was just a lot better. He was mixing up to the body a lot more, and yeah, even though Eric was landing some good stuff and some stuff that did sort of hit Mark pretty hard, he landed a good couple of jabs here and there, landed a good right at some point. He wasn't able to fully do enough damage, and yeah, I give round three to Mark. So let's talk about it. So all in all, I thought this was a really goddamn good fight. The fact that it was in front of a live crowd was great. The fact that it was in front of the first Canadian crowd since 2019 is a lot better for me. Yeah, it's been 4 years since they went to Canada. Bloody Nora. And the Canadian crowds are always extremely passionate. I love hearing from them. I wish the UFC went there more, because it seems like an easy trip to make, because Canada is not far from America, last time I checked, but what do I know about travelling? Nothing, because I don't go outside. But all in all, I think Mark did enough to win the fight, and he did by unanimous decision, but all three cards have it 30-27. I don't think he did enough to fully win round two. I would argue it might be a draw, maybe, but I don't know if it was because it was a Canadian crowd. They might have been a bit more biased against Eric. I mean, you could just tell from some of the exchanges they had where Mark would land, the crowd would cheer and be mental for him. When Eric would land, they would boo and be sad, because that's how hometown crowds work. I understand that, but I feel like that might have had maybe a bit of sway, like the tiniest bit of sway in the judges' scorecards, because there was no way Mark was losing the fight anyway. I definitely think he did enough to win. But I would call it a much closer fight than it was. So if you are reading the numbers about it, don't trust them. It's 29-28, maybe not 30-27 all across the board. Having said that, though, I still recommend you go check this one out. This is one of the best fights the UFC's put on this year, I would say. Really good card opener, and solid work from both men. Mark absolutely, did everything to earn the win. Eric hung in there as well as he could, especially in round three. He went a lot of shit from Mark in round three. Yeah, no real complaints. And the decision to carry on after being hit in the balls twice and not taking a lot of time, I think across both he took a total of maybe 3 minutes out of 10, which is not a whole lot of time, because you give him 5 minutes after a foul like that to recover. And good respect between them as well. Absolute war. I recommend you go check it out. And that's about it from me. The next thing you'll see me for will likely be a Music of the Week, which will be on Thursday, and then Friday for Reverence, my next pay-per-view. That's going to be fucking awesome. And if I can swing it, hopefully next Saturday I can finally start the fucking Battle Block Let's Play. But we'll wait and see. So I'll see you all most likely on Thursday at the earliest. And as always, thank you for watching. You're awesome. Bye bye. I almost fucked up my sign up there.